immigrants.
That's a good point. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to move on because we have a lot to talk about. And we're going to talk about the conspiracy theories of the night, guys. Let's watch this clip where Trump promises to release assassination records.
We are going to make public remaining records relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and other topics of great public interest. It's all going to be released, Uncle Sam.
So, you guys, I mean, this defined a generation. These three assassinations happening back to back to back. Vulgar, what do you think the implication and the impact this is going to have once we release these records?
It depends on what's in them.
Sorry, I had to mess with you on my take.
It really depends on what's in the records. If it shows that the government had a lot to do with this, I think it's, however we have some type of revolt or revolution to get the government back right, I think it may compel the public, to start standing up to the government more than we have been.
I think it's gonna cause some lawsuits depending on what comes out. Trump is always unpredictable, so he probably like, oh, y'all want to come for me? I'm about to put out all this business that I know because y'all came after me. Now I'm gonna make y'all look bad. So I think the families will probably get paid, and if the government has something to do with it, they deserve to be compensated in a civil court of law. I think with Trump, we're gonna see probably an unprecedented amount of classified information being declassified. Mia?
I mean, I am, as you can see, the cheese in my cheeks. I am so happy. I am so excited. As you can see, East Coast. I'm from the northern East Coast. I mean, I'm super big into the Kennedy family. I can't wait for all of these records to be declassified. There's so much information. And a lot of people don't understand that Kennedy notably was going to deconstruct the FBI and CIA and get rid of the deep state before it became too deep. And he was going to do that. That was one of his campaign promises. That was what he said on national television. He was going to get rid of J. Edgar Hoover building. He was going to deconstruct all of that because he saw how deep-seated the deep state was. J. Edgar Hoover was one of the most corrupt people in American history that most people don't even know who he is. That man was crazy. And the dossiers he had on people is insane. And like the illegal things they were doing at the FBI at the time would blow your mind. There's multiple documentaries, multiple whistleblowers on this. And it is just interesting that Kennedy says he's going to get rid of the FBI and the CIA and the deep state, and then he ends up dead. And then his attorney general brother, who also takes up the mantle and is running on the same premise, ends up dead as well. And then MLK ends up dead. And then for a clean sweep, we also lost Malcolm X too. And a clean sweep within 24 months of all of this, we lost those 4 men. So it's clearly very apparently at the time the deep state was trying to save itself because there were 4 massive individuals with massive following that knew what was going on. There was no crazy magic bullet. There was no bullet that magically pierced the hearts of 3 people and somehow went upside down, inside out, all these people. I'm sorry, but I am so excited. I can't wait. That's why I am rooting for Kash Patel to run the FBI. I can't wait. There's hundreds of FOIAs right now asking for all of this information to be declassified and given to the public. And it should, because the public should know what happened, truly know what happened. And I'm very excited.
For sure. So before Slim respond, because I know we're going to go with a tinfoil hat, I got to plug our boy. Judge Joe Brown actually was the person who defended the guy who tried to assassinate Martin Luther King. And we actually, me and Nora and some of the people who was on New Party before, we were actually on Judge Joe Brown's show, and I saw his video where he said J. Edgar Hoover was actually someone who was biracial, and he went after the KKK, and he went after like the Black Panther Party. But I just wanted to plug him in there before we continue. But go ahead, Slim.
Yes, I actually have a clip of Judge Joe Brown we'll be playing.
Oh
So
man,
thank you to the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. But go ahead, 85. What's your thoughts on all of this?
yo, Mia is on point. Like I said before, yo, I still think we dealing with young Kennedy Jr. and the fact that he wants to know who killed his dad. And I think him and
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump got something together, and he promised him
Mm-hmm.
something. I think that's what it is. That's what I feel in my
Agree.
heart. You know what I
Drop out
mean?
and I'll release this.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. But Mia pretty much took everything that I wanted to say and put it in a whole better perspective. So
Tinfoil hat
Well,
on.
mhm.
Can I say
We're
something
gonna
before you play the
start
video?
in. Yeah, go ahead, Boger. I'm sorry.
Trump, if you're listening, can you please add the Hollywood set that they filmed the moon landing on? Can you
He
please
ain't
add
gonna
Yes,
add
that?
that
put
because
that in too.
we are in a golden era where we're gonna be competing again. So don't be surprised if they pull something like that again because we are in a race right now for technology. And I understand. I don't agree with why we did the moon, why we potentially may have faked it, but I agree with why we could have done it. Like I don't agree with doing it is what I'm saying, but I agree with why we did it. If we did
Oh
it,
no, I
we
understand.
had we had to be number one at that point. We had to maintain being a superpower.
No, I understand. I
Don't
just
get
want
us
the blooper reel.
demonetized.
That's all.
You know,
Allegedly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
speaking in
let's.
code.
you
So,
know
okay,
who
guys.
has. I'm sorry.
Mhm, mhm.
I was going to say, you
No,
know
what were
who
you gonna
has
say?
an amazing podcast on podcast episode, I should say, on like the moon landing and it like being faked and all that stuff. Joe Rogan. So I went like 6 months ago, and funny enough, the studio was converted and that they allegedly filmed it because obviously I wasn't there. The studio that they allegedly filmed it at was actually turned into a house, and currently Jared Leto lives there right
Oh
now.
wow!
Mm. Oh wow.
Yes. Right?
Fun fact.
That's what
Fun
I'm
fact.
saying. Right?
Yeah, I just want to see
And
the
it goes
bloopers.
pretty
That's
deep.
all.
You know that 60s band The Doors, the lead singer, was it Jim Morrison? Van Morrison? His dad was a high ranking, I think he was CIA, FBI official. So you'd be surprised. Like the deep state goes really deep in places you wouldn't even think.
Wow.
Wow,
Man.
yeah. Okay, so the first clip talks about the JFK conspiracy. So here we go.
Uncover the conspiracy confirmed by the government decades ago.
The assassination of President John F. Kennedy is the greatest murder mystery in American history. I was 16 years old when it happened, and it has never left me.
That right there was Rob Reiner, the legendary actor and director behind some of our most beloved movies like When Harry Met Sally and The Princess Bride. He's now tackling the JFK assassination. His new podcast, Who Killed JFK, with journalist Soledad O'Brien, aims to reveal the truth surrounding the death of President Kennedy. The 10-part series is currently underway, and according to Reiner, he will eventually name the multiple shooters involved in the assassination. Well, joining me now is American actor, filmmaker, and podcaster Rob Reiner. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Rob.
Thanks for having me.
Rob, you call this America's great murder mystery. President Kennedy's assassination happened when you were just a teenager, and you say it stuck with you ever since. How did that fascination lead you to do this deep dive into the case?
Well, you know, it was a national trauma. Anybody who was alive at the time can remember exactly where they were when they heard the news. And I was in high school. I was in my physics class. A student walked in, whispered into the teacher's ear. He turned to us and said, "I have some terrible, terrible news." Told us what had happened. Everybody was sent home. And then we watched nonstop from that moment till the moment where I saw on live television the man who was accused of killing President Kennedy himself got murdered by a nightclub owner named Jack Ruby. So this was a national trauma, and it stays with you until you, think about it this way. If a loved one of yours was murdered, you'd want to know who did it and why. And so anytime new information emerges, those of us who've been following this for now 60 years try to piece it together and figure out how does that fit with that. Well, what we did with this podcast with Soledad O'Brien is we took 60 years of information that we've accumulated in drips and drabs, put it all in one place in a comprehensive effort to try to explain what happened on that day.
Well, something that I find so interesting about your podcast, you just said it, that you partnered with journalist Soledad O'Brien. That's a big deal. But, it's interesting. She said that you led the reporting. Can you kind of tell us more about your research into the assassination?
Yes, I led it only because I was alive at the time. She was -3 when it happened. So she only heard the company line, which is basically Lee Harvey Oswald did it by himself and case closed. It's done. But for me, I started, questioning this when I was a teenager. And when I was 19, I read the first book that came out that criticized the Warren Commission was a book by Mark Lane called it was the first one that criticized the Kennedy assassination. Then I started reading up about it. And I read this and I read that. I talked to forensic experts. I met with people who were there that day. I visited Dealey Plaza many times. And over the course of 60 years, you start putting a picture together. You start getting a full picture of what actually happened that day.
Well, you've also said that this podcast will lead to the naming of who you believe JFK's killers to be. What can you tell us about that? And do you think we'll ever have official confirmation on what really happened in Dallas that day?
I don't think you'll ever get, that smoking gun that everybody is looking for. But if you take all of the information that you have,
Wow. Gray, did you learn anything new? And what do you think about it? As the Democrat on the line, he was a Democrat. So who do you think did it? What's your conspiracy? Do you have any, or do you think the story we're told is right?
Growing up in my aunt's home, she had a picture of Martin Luther King and she had a picture of JFK. And a lot of Democrats' homes, that's what they do. Those are the heroes for the party. So I'm not sure they'll ever find a smoking gun, but I know me and Nora go over the show before we start. And one of the things we were talking about, I don't want to go completely off topic, but the impact of his assassination, I feel like led to the Civil Rights Act, which helped Black people once Lyndon B. Johnson passed. And I feel like that's why his death is like so important to United States history, especially for Black people.
Yeah.
Kelly, a friend of the show. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Kelly, a friend of the show, how she said her grandmother had a signed JFK picture. So we know like a lot of homes that a lot of people do that.
Exactly. 85, what's your thoughts?
You're muted, 85.
My bad. Like I said, JFK, the best president, man. Outside of DJT, man, JFK was the man, and the information must come out, man. I'm sick of the American people not knowing. When it comes to things like that, when it comes to health, when it comes to food, I'm just sick of them suppressing information, man, and it's really been getting to me. So, I'm really just coming down off a high based on yesterday's inauguration. And I watched the speech again, and it sent chills through my body, man. So I know that this has to happen. We living in biblical times. I believe that. By the grace of God, I believe that, man. And I just want people, again, to unite and really wake up and really see that, yeah, you might not like this man, but this man is here for your best interest, because the other people are not. And they're really trying to destroy not only the country, but the people. And he sees that, and he's willing to fight for it. So everything is going to come out. This is just the tip of the iceberg. this is just the beginning, man.
Hold on,
Vulgar, what
Bill,
do you
before
think
you
happened?
go.
Mhm.
Slim, you watched it twice?
I watched it again, bro. I had to, bro. I had to, bro. I seen so many rallies, man. I seen so many speeches. I don't know. Yesterday, that brother was
Vulgar
just
wants to laugh.
like,
Vulgar, you can laugh.
maybe it was because he was indoors. I don't know, but yo, the mic, he was flowing last night, bro.
Slim, you the biggest Trump supporter I know, dog.
Yo, bro. I keep in mind, I wasn't always like this. I was a Democrat first.
Same.
You know what I mean?
He's MAGA
It's
premium.
okay.
I just seen it, man, and it's like, you know, the people I work with, you know what I'm saying, like the people I make money with, and I just been around those dudes, man, and they used to always tell me, "Hey, man, look into Trump." I used to be like, "Man, forget Trump. He a racist, man." You know, I was all programmed. I was programmed,
Yep.
and I started to notice everybody in my family was programmed. It's like when I started to become conservative, they would cut me off. Anytime I would say something, they would cut me off. And I'm like, this is my family. So then I would talk to somebody in California, and then they would cut me off. And I'm like, damn, they act the same. They don't even know each other. It's like it's the same people. It's crazy. You have no clue how I started sitting back. And now I'm actually upset because I could seriously sit down and watch a movie, whether it be on Netflix, one of these liberal stations, and I'm looking at everything through a different lens. I see things through a different lens, and I'd be like, damn, I hate the fact that I know what I know, because I can't even enjoy myself because the subliminal messages be right there in our faces.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't see it, bro.
I guess Gray is your only Democrat friend left.
He might be, man. He might be. He might be. It's crazy, man. But I mean, that's just. I just think that we need to know, man. We need to know what's going on. I just think we need more information, and they're hiding it from us, and we need to know. So let that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
Mia,
That's
what you
true. I mean, I completely agree. Tinfoil hat. Well, I mean, the simple fact that, I mean, Kennedy, like the family itself is pretty timeless. I mean, I live in an area where, you know, the Kennedys are from. So, I mean, everybody has a favorable opinion about Kennedy. But also, I mean, they've referred to his White House as Camelot, because during that time, I mean, Kennedy was sending Secret Service to help protect MLK because it was important. Kennedy's family has always been, and always will be top tier people. I truly believe them as a whole tried to help. And I love RFK Jr. And I think Make America Healthy Again is perfect. I'm sorry. I mean, we are some of the most unhealthy people in this country, like on the planet. It's crazy, but there's no money there's no money not in the comeback. So like when you're selling pharmaceuticals, you want people to come back, so you need to keep them sick. So
we're gonna touch on him.
That's why we're all sick here. So
yeah,
I mean,
touch on RFK.
But yeah, I agree with 85 Slim. It's really hard to watch TV. It's hard to be online now just because you kind of see other angles, and there is ignorance and bliss, but I'm glad that I know everything that I know. And I will say I left the Democratic Party in 2016 when the DNC took the nomination from Bernie, because Bernie was poised to win. He would have won. He had the votes. He had everything he needed to win. He would have won against Trump that first time. He was way more popular than Hillary. And that's when I realized the DNC is a corporation, and they were bought and sold by the Clintons. And that really upset me. And after that, it was a wrap, because I live close to Vermont and I love Bernie as well. And it just made me so upset. Like, I just remember seeing Bernie and his family, and they were all near tears because he had the votes to get the nomination, and the DNC said no, and they gave it to Hillary, and Hillary lost. So there's corruption at its finest. And that's when I really started doing my deep dives. And that's when I left the Democratic Party.
Vulgar, and also Vulgar, touch on your isolation as a MAGA person too, which you was talking about with Slim.
And I was gonna say I'm with 85. I'll probably take it a step further. I don't watch TV. Literally, it's my girl. She watch, like, if she's not here, the TV's never on. I do not watch it unless it's football. That's probably, and I barely even watch foot. Like, I watch my Chiefs. That's probably about it now. I don't even listen to a lot of music anymore, like hip hop. A lot of it, I've gotten rid of a lot of it because a lot of it, some of it's politics and then some of it's just poison. What really got me to switch was probably noticing the accountability, because I kind of was on this around 2012. I really start holding myself accountable for certain things instead of blaming the system or blaming other people for why I wasn't doing good. I would have to say, you know what, you're the reason you're here, not the white man or not the system, is you. And then as I start growing in that, it would be some people that would tell me, hey, no, it's not you. If you had the same chances the white man or Trump, you wouldn't be where you're at. And I didn't like to hear that because I'm competitive. So for me, I'm like, okay, I might not have had, I don't want the $1 million to start. I want to get it out the mud, you know? So when I heard to like pull yourself up by the bootstraps, that resonated with me. And then some other things, when I started to connect feminism, that was another thing that took me to the right because of being of divorce being initiated twice against me and me not being able to be in the home with my kids. There was nothing I could do. Once we went to court, it was like, okay, mother, take on you on child support. So that was something else that took me to being conservative and having conservative values, and then trying to find somebody, a mate for me that has conservative values. Also, a lot of the left, you know, is hijacked by feminism and the alphabet community. And a lot of people who lean to the left, it's kind of hard to have that trust in them as a man, at least. So that's what did it for me. And the last thing I wanted to say, as far as the
JFK.
Yeah, JFK. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like what the two things that happened to Trump is very similar to JFK. And it was like similar. Trump was threatening to change things radically. And I don't think the system was for that. And I think they was doing everything to try to get him up out of here. The same as with King, when he started talking about wealth and other things. It all. I'm not a conspiracy person, but it's a lot of similarities between the things that they were doing, going against the system before their, demise happened.
Nora, you got the new child support law for them?
No,
That
that's
ain't
not
true.
real. Anyways, I have another clip to play.
I wish.
Yeah, we wish.
Hey, I've been waiting to claim my kids.
Yeah. So
I
after
gotta pay taxes now. Go ahead.
after JFK, not long after, what was the order? Was it JFK then RFK, right?
Yeah.
The assassination, or was it MLK next?
No, it was RFK.
RFK. Let's watch this clip by RFK Jr.
As he was leaving the ballroom, he decided to go through the kitchen. And I guess his bodyguard, FBI agent Bill Barry, told him to avoid the kitchen because it was very crowded. As he was going through, shaking hands with everyone, a 24-year-old Palestinian man named Saran shot him with a .22 caliber revolver. He was hit 3 times. 5 other people were wounded as well. When you found out that your dad had gotten killed, what went through your mind?
Well, I didn't. First of all, I would dispute that description of what happened.
Okay.
I don't believe that Sirhan's bullets ever hit my father.
Okay.
And neither did the coroner, Thomas Noguchi, who is probably the most famous coroner in American history. who did an autopsy that is known as the perfect autopsy. He actually flew in the chief coroners of all the every branch of the military service to sit in the surgery theater to watch what he did because he knew what had happened in Dallas, and he didn't want to repeat. And what he found, Sirhan had 8 shots. He had a 22 revolver, or 8 shots in it, and he fired 2 shots at my father. One of those shots hit Paul Schrade, who was the UAW, the United Auto Workers deputy chief. There was only 2 unions that supported my father: the United Auto Workers and Cesar Chavez union. And Paul Schrade had recruited Cesar Chavez to the United Farm Workers, so he was very close to my dad. He got shot in the head, and he was okay. And, he actually died a year and a half ago and spent the last 20 years of his life trying to get Sirhan out of prison, the man who shot him. The other shot went past my father's head and hit a door jamb behind him, and it was later removed by the LAPD. It was dug out of the door jamb. The whole door jamb was removed. He was then pounced upon by 6 men, including Raver Johnson, who was the 1960 decathlon champion, gold medal Olympian, one of my father's closest friends, and Rosie Greer, who was one of the, fearsome foursome, who had been a bodyguard for my dad. He was, one of the most famous football players of his time. And 4 other people, including the guy who was the director or the concierge of the Ambassador Hotel. And they pounced on him. They took his hand and pointed away from my father. So they pointed the opposite direction. Raver Johnson later told me that he tried to get the gun out of Sirhan's hand, but Sirhan had superhuman strength. He's a little tiny man. I've met him. I spent
5'5", I think.
Yeah, he's tiny. But he couldn't, this big, Rafer is like 6'4" and solid muscle. He could not get and you had a professional lineman from, the Oakland Raiders there that day.
So, yeah, pretty much, as you guys could hear, the shots were fired in all sorts of directions. It's not clear where it came from. Bulgar, I'll let you go first. What is your thoughts on the RFK assassination? Do you think Saran did it, or do you think we should definitely be questioning this?
At this point, I'm going to say question all of it. I'm not as versed on this one, but at this point, I want everything out. I don't really have an opinion on it.
85, did you learn something new? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, actually I did. I didn't know that's how his dad was shot. I just think it was a hit out on all the Kennedys when it popped off. Didn't some of them change their names or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think Pop set it off, and he was going after the CIA, and they showed their hand when they took him out on national television. That was a monumental moment. And like I said, I don't think it's over. I think this is beef, like long-term beef.
Well, your girl Candace Owens has a conspiracy that she says that guy was what's called MK Ultra, that he was put under some sort of trance when he allegedly went there, and that it wasn't him that did it. That is the alleged conspiracy theory. Again, I use allegedly loosely. Gray, what do you think? You think we should believe what they're saying based on that video? Or you think we should question it?
One thing we didn't touch on is I don't know if you guys noticed, the Kennedy's father was a bootlegger, and that's how he got rich. And he also was in stocks, and somehow he knew to take all his stocks out before the Great Depression. So he's been considered a massive criminal, and also supposedly the Kennedys won, or the John Kennedy won by the mob helping
Mm-hmm.
with voting and stuff like that. So it's been said that it's possibly a mob hit, and it's stuff with Jimmy Hoffa and the Teamsters
Marilyn
is linked to
Monroe.
JFK, Marilyn Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
and all this. So there is a massive conspiracy around all this. But their father did come from criminality, so
Mm-hmm.
they weren't squeaky clean.
Mia.
Okay, so Tin Hat is back on because this is clearly my favorite subject. I definitely think JFK, MLK, RFK were absolutely all an inside job. All an inside job. There was some sort of
Mm-hmm.
deep state connection there. Like I said, RFK ran on the same premise as his brother, dismantling the deep state, dismantling the alphabet agencies, dismantling all of that. And also to add a different layer to this, whatever happened scared Jackie Kennedy to the point that she married Onassis and dragged her children out of America and into Europe. And she didn't come back for quite
Mm-hmm.
a long time. So right there tells you she was protecting her children from something, because that's half the reason why she ended up marrying Onassis from the Greek shipping. So, and she took off. So, there's a whole lot of angles, but I definitely think that there's something suspicious. I can't tell you what, because I don't want to be, I don't want them knocking on my door, but something suspicious happened to all of them. And it definitely leaves a lot to be answered.
Yep. And I have one more clip. It's regarding MLK, and it's from the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. And this will be our last clip of the night.
Okay, he was assassinated by a two-man hit team from the fire station, not from the flop house, not from the bushes, which were right below the window for the flop house. Flop house window never opened far enough to shoot a rifle out of it. The bushes weren't the place. The reason people think it was coming from that location was the echo off of the front of the Lorraine Motel. The weapon was an M14 converted to an M21. It was an experimental project. They made 62 of them with an extra barrel. They put a Redfield 3-9 power scope modified by a company known as Leatherwood on it, and they had a suppressor which caused the sound to be modified. They shot subsonic ammunition, which is why they took a head shot instead of a chest shot, which would have been the usual course. And the shooters were most probably recruited from the Marine Sniper School at Quantico, Virginia, which was just across the tarmac from an FBI training academy. So they were supplied with the FBI was supplied with 5 XM21s by invoice, serial numbers of which I have secreted around the place, and 5,000 rounds of the ammunition that matched the characteristics of what they pulled out of King's body. That was in late December 1967. King was shot at the beginning of April 1968. The Justice Department ordered the FBI to return the 5 weapons to the Defense Department so they could use them in the NOM. The FBI claimed they lost one of them. I know what the serial number is of the lost weapon. That's the murder weapon. The rifle that James Earl Ray had, which was the only thing that hooked him up to the case, since he never confessed, unlike what the media says, the rate of rifling twist in his rifle was very inconsistent with what they pulled out of King's body. And the rate of rifling twist of what they pulled out of King's body would.
First, I want to say shout out to Judge Joe Brown and Dana with the Data. They were the first podcast that I went on as a guest on, and they're a big reason to why we're monetized to this day. Go ahead, Nora.
Oh, yes, yes, definitely shout out to the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. As Grace stated before, Judge Joe Brown was he defended James Earl Ray, you said?
Yeah.
He defended James Earl Ray, so he has insider knowledge. I never knew I never really heard conspiracies behind his death until recently, MLK's, but I definitely heard about the JFK ones. Vulgar, should we be questioning this, or what do you think? We're going to find out once he releases these documents.
I definitely think it should be questioned. As far as that, I've always felt deep down that the government has something to do with it. My personal um my personal opinion is that once King started pushing for black wealth and talk about the money, that's kind of, it's like, hey, we can do the inclusion, we can do all that, bring everybody together, but hey, you asking for too much when you starting to preach about wealth. And because like I say, life is a competition, everything is a competition. So I really felt like that's when things started to go left, is when he started to wanted black people to come together and own and build and things like that. So that's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I really feel like that's going to be part of what happens when this information come out. I'm gonna say when it comes out.
For sure. And thank you to the subscribers and the people in the chat. I know y'all came from Dana's channel too, but what I'm gonna say about Judge Joe Brown, listen, Judge, I love you to death, but like I see on every single Dateline or whatever show, when the person's the lawyer for that person, it doesn't matter if it's 10, 50 years later, they still like, oh, they're innocent, they didn't do this, they didn't do this. So I feel like when you're the lawyer for somebody, it doesn't matter. You're always gonna defend them and say that you didn't do it. They didn't do it. Slim. Oh.
Hey, Judge gonna cut short. Nah. When it come out, man, like I said, I'm gonna just sit back and just enjoy the information. I'm gonna have my popcorn ready, and I can't wait, man. I mean, I've been waiting on this time for a long time, bro.
Yeah,
long time, and we here now. I know people that have been waiting longer than me. And we here now. So the American people deserve to know. That's just the bottom line. That's all I got. The American people deserve to know the truth.
Mia?
I'm with Slim. The American people deserve to know the truth. I will say Judge Joe Brown he paints a very compelling argument. Whether you think he's lying, whether you think it's because he's a lawyer or what, he paints a very compelling argument. And we know that the government does very insidious things. So it leaves the door open to maybe this is one of those. Maybe this isn't as cut and dry. Maybe something insidious happened here.
For sure. Nora?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of trust what the judge says. So if he says it must be so. He said that. I mean, I've watched clips of him saying to question all 3 assassinations, and he lived it. So I mean, who am I to say it couldn't have happened? But anyways, I really appreciate everyone for watching tonight. As Kelly said in the chat, please hit the like button. We're also taking subscribers. If you'd like to be a guest on the new party, please subscribe to us. Before I let everyone say their closing thoughts, I want to let everyone know that's watching. On X, you can subscribe to us on YouTube at The New Party. Bulk of our views right now are from X. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to be engaged in the chat, come to YouTube and type in at The New Party. Also, we have a show coming on Thursday night. We are doing an anniversary for Kobe Bryant's passing, and we're giving an update to the ceasefire deal with Israel and Hamas. We have an Israeli American, Mr. Nick, coming on. And K. Dot will be doing his initial show with us. So we will have some lefties in the building. So get ready, chat. Get ready. That's all I'm going to say, team. Get ready, team. Oh, boy. So thank you to K. Dot for partnering with us. We really appreciate it. And also shout out to Vulgar, one of our first partners. Vulgar, I'll let you go first. What's your closing words?
My closing words. Trump is president. To the left, get over it. I had to live through Biden for 4 years. Y'all can live through another 4 of Trump. That's how I'm gonna end it.
Oh, y'all gonna leave it on
Gray,
me?
or wait,
Oh, and make
85.
sure y'all come to the
Yeah, I
man
can
cave
close
on
it out.
Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah, man cave on Mondays for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Trump won. He in there. We feel good. The food tastes better. The gas look like it's going down.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. It might be a little cold outside, but you know, it's all good. It's fitting to warm up. But other than that, we back, baby. I feel it. America is back.
Mia?
I guess I'll start out with Trump won. And if we're going to crash out, try to crash out privately. We don't want to watch it. Because all we do is laugh at you. If you're going to crash out, do it in the privacy of your own home. And you know, just be open to conspiracies, just be open to learning. And as always, you need to listen to learn, not listen to respond, because sometimes we are right. Instead of discounting us because we're conservative, sometimes you may actually learn from us if you actually listened to us. And as always, treat everybody with respect. And I'm super excited to see what other executive orders come out. And so far, so good. Trump has kept on his promise. And hopefully we have good things moving forward.
So Trump, I know I didn't vote for you, but you got to give my boy 85 Slim a signed hat or a job or something, because I mean he's your biggest fan. But nah, what I'll say is to the Democrats, like, you hear the conservatives talking like, let's not be a resistance. Let's try to work with them and let's see what we can get out of this. And that's what I say to anybody just individually out there. Like, take advantage of the situation rather than looking at it pessimistic. So just be optimistic. Like, as you can see, me, I'm a Democrat around a bunch of conservatives, but I'm here laughing and putting my opinions out there. So try to make the best out of whatever situation.
Are you going to stop being my friend?
I might. I've been thinking about it.
Wow. See, guys, there's no normal Democrats. Remember that. No normal Democrats. The lefties are always losing it. This was proof of that, okay? Proof of that. I gave this channel life as a friend, as a partner. You see that? The lefties always losing it. Remember that, everyone. Anyways, thank you for watching. Shouts out to everyone on X and YouTube. And like we always say on the new party, always vote. Oh, also, before we end the stream, if you guys would like to follow any of our content creators, please stick around where we have their TikToks and social media up. Gray?
Always vote.
Always vote.
All right, let me.
Introducing the new party. We live stream every Tuesday and Thursday p.m. Eastern Standard Time.